Sandomir, I hope you're all well. I'm going to be talking through your Wednesday grammar activity today. So we have done this before, but again, it's always good to recap it and link it with other learning. So in grammar, we have learnt that there are 4 main types of sentences that we learn in year 2. They are questions, statements, exclamations and commands. You need to be able to read a sentence and decide which of those 4 categories it falls into and be able to explain why. So I'll have a look at some examples now and I'll explain the activity. So a statement. A statement usually tells us something and we use it all the time in conversations and in our writing. It starts with a capital letter and ends in a full stop. Punctuation is really important when looking at different types of sentences because that's a really big indicator of what type of sentence it is. I've got 2 examples of statements for you. Chickens lay eggs. The table is yellow. So there are my 2 examples of statements. They always start with a capital letter and end in a full stop. My next type of sentence is questions. Now, questions, you can tell when a sentence is a question because it always ends in a question mark. Usually starts with what, where, how, why, when, and always ends in a question mark. That's really important. If you were to ever write a question in your writing, it needs to end in a question mark. So my 2 examples are, what time is it? And what is for lunch? And they are my examples of questions. The next sentence type we're going to have a look at is exclamations. Exclamations tell you something and describe an emotion that somebody's feeling. So normally they are said with a strong emotion, so that might be anger or excitement or happiness. So for example, what a fantastic day is said with a big emotion, a big amount of happiness. So you use an exclamation mark to just express that emotion. Or another example is, how amazing is that? Another exclamation mark there. So you can tell when a sentence is exclamation because it starts with what or how and ends with an exclamation mark. Exclamation marks are used lots in reading books and when you read picture books. So maybe next time you're having a read of a book, you can see if you can find one. And our final sentence type is commands. Now, commands tell you to do something and they start with a capital letter and end with a full stop. So my 2 examples are put your shoes on and take your coat off. So they are 2 commands and they tell you to do something. So that's how you know when it is a command. So for your activity linking to types of sentences, you've got a worksheet. On that worksheet are lots of different sentences and you need to decide what type of sentence it is by ticking the box. So you will see 4 boxes, C for command, E for exclamation, Q for question and S for statements. You need to read the sentence and tick which one you think it is. Now, I must have just forgotten to use punctuation that day because none of the sentences are punctuated correctly. I wonder if you could help me out and go through and add in all the punctuation that I've missed out. Now, my top tip for you is, as well as capital letters and the end of the sentence, there might be some punctuation that's needed in the middle, maybe commas, apostrophes, for example. So you need to really read the sentence and decide which punctuation is missing. So you read the sentence, decide what sentence it is, and rewrite it with the correct punctuation. Once you've done that, if you'd like an extra task, you can then go away and write an example or 2 examples of the sentence types for me on a piece of paper and send them across. This worksheet can be printed and done on the printed version. You could do it on the computer or you can do it on a separate piece of paper. So you can read it on the screen and write it on a piece of paper. It'd be really lovely to see your work, so please ask a grown-up to take a picture of it and send it over to me on an email so I can give you some feedback. Take your time, read over the sentence carefully, and I look forward to seeing all your work. Thank you, bye.